thus setting a proper motivation, which consists of 3 parts. The refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings in front of you. And how you visualize them. They're like your very affectionate parents, and you come home to and they're there to give full love, affection and attention. And Bodhiji the field. Visualize your 2 kind parents on the 2 sides, and all the dear sentient beings around you, and leaving them aside. And here you are the mother, and all others are like your children. And the purpose of this practice is to unravel the ultimate source of happiness that exists within each one of us. And this ultimate source of happiness, although it exists within us, it is like a gold when mixed with the soil in its ore form. As long as the soil is there, you don't see the gold there, although it exists. It is only the experts, gold experts, that they can see gold in there. By removing the soil, gradually you'll see the gold glowing from inside. Likewise, we all have this ultimate source of happiness that exists within each one of us. So that needs to be cleansed, that needs to be awakened by removing the mental stains. And the mental stains are 2 kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross one referred to as the afflictive obscurations, and the subtle one referred to as the cognitive obscurations. And the gross one, the persons which stops us from achieving nirvana or enlightenment. And the subtle one stops us from achieving total awakening or total enlightenment. And how to get rid of these mental defilements is by resorting to the wisdom of emptiness, the wisdom to see the ultimate reality. And the motivating force which should complement this wisdom is the renunciation in the case of seeking nirvana, and the bodhicitta on top of the renunciation in the case of seeking total liberation, total enlightenment. So imagine that you are leading this group, and all sentient beings are happily joining you, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us. With that in mind, let's turn to page 3 of this, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas, the book, the brown book. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the Supreme Among all teachers, the one who taught this peace which is freed of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of past courses those helping migrate to achieve the aims of the world, and who through possession of omniscience help subdue from varieties. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I chant the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantatagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantatagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantatagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessation of the causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light, and non-composite. Such is the nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching into the words. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the professional wisdom, which is unborn, unseized, and the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, of the 3 times I pay obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all, I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, Heart Sutra Mantra. Page 31. Page 31. Okay, as we recite this Heart Sutra Mantra, imagine that Buddha Shakyamuni, the very kind teacher, exhorts us thus: don't remain in the fears of samsara. Come towards the ultimate happiness. And you hearing this melodious voice of Buddha Shakyamuni, you inspire your 2 kind parents and you inspire all dear sentient beings, informing them that this is what a very compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni exhorts us. Let us not remain in the fears of samsara. Let us not remain in the fears of anxiety, stress, tension, so forth. Let us all go towards the ultimate state of happiness. So with that in mind, you are leading this, and everyone so happily joins you in this journey, in the journey of the mental cleansing. Yata Om Gati Gati Aragati Arasamgati Bodhi Swaha Dhyata Om Gati Gati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Dhyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Dhyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiswatyata. 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 Okay, we will do 5 minutes meditation. Are you ready? Okay, for the meditation, I'll give a quick instruction. There are so many kinds of, in the first place, there are so many kinds of meditation, and all meditation somehow can be subsumed under 2 categories. One is single-pointed meditation, and the other one is analytical meditation. Single-pointed meditation and analytical meditation. Idea is that finally the Buddha, all his discourses somehow hover around igniting the wisdom, the light of the wisdom. And this light of the wisdom, the Buddha indicated that all the miseries that we go through are all because of the ignorance. And of course, not just on the basis of what the Buddha said, we should be able to discern it very clearly as how finally what the Buddha indicated, that all sufferings, the miseries that we go through are due to the ignorance, how it is true. We should be able to get a sense of discernment, a sense of, say, the conviction that this is very true and is very true. Okay. For example, say like a very young child, age 4 or 5, if you teach the multiplication table, 3 into 1 is 3, 3 into 2 equals 6. So the next time you ask the child to say this, the child will get it correctly. But if you ask the child, how do you know that 3 equals 2 is 6? The child will not have any answer. It's just imitation. Imitation from what you have said. And later on, now, the age that you are in now, if somebody asks you how 3 equals 2 is 6, you have the proper answer. So that is that it becomes your knowledge. So this, the Buddha indicated that without the knowledge, in the absence of knowledge, you are in ignorance. That is like darkness. In dark, you don't see the reality. You don't see reality. Because you don't see the reality, you can bang against the wall. You can bang against the door. You can bang against the pillar. Because you don't see what is around you. So the darkness is responsible for all your pains. Likewise, the ignorance is like darkness. With ignorance, you don't see the reality. In dark, you don't see the reality what is nearby you. In ignorance, you don't see the reality. So, if ignorance is responsible for all our miseries, then the question arises, how to get rid of this ignorance? So the Buddha indicated that it is only through igniting the light of the wisdom Just as when the darkness is there, to eradicate the darkness, it is only through the introducing the light with wisdom, that the darkness can be eradicated. Likewise, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eliminated. So the next question is, what is this wisdom? This is so important. What is this wisdom? The wisdom is any mind, any discerning mind, whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality. So what you think and the reality should tally. If that happens, this is wisdom. If this is wisdom, whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality, the next question is, what is the reality? So, this wisdom, to ignite this wisdom, we need to have this wisdom to know the reality. To know the reality. So, to know the reality, because the reality is so subtle, which the Buddha, at one point, was compelled to say that this reality which I've discovered is so subtle that hardly I find anyone who can fathom the depth of this teaching. So therefore, I feel rather the better to retire into the woods. So this is what the Buddha indicated, saying that the reality is very subtle. Because the reality is very subtle, we need to employ one meditation technique known as the analytical meditation. So we need to employ the analytical meditation in order to trigger the reality, to acquire this, to see this reality very clearly. For that matter, we need the analytical meditation to have this wisdom to see the reality, the light which is so bright to eliminate the darkness. So the light, the very bright light, the light should be, first of all, it should be bright enough to dispel the darkness. It should be a bright light. Now, this brightness is metaphor to the knowledge, to know the reality. Now, this bright, although the light may be so bright, but it can be flickering. The wind may be moving this light and make it flickering. If the light is flickering, again, it doesn't serve the purpose of the light. The light is to dispel the darkness and to create the ease in you to read the materials. Here you cannot read the materials when the light is flickering. So it is not only sufficient to have a very bright light, the bright light must be very steady. So this, in other words, this bright light should have two qualities. One is that it should have a very bright, it should be very bright light. Number two, it should be steady. So the brightness has to be introduced and the steadiness to be introduced. So for the brightness, we need the analytical meditation. And for the steadiness, we need the single-pointed meditation. So it's for this reason that all meditation somehow can be subsumed out of these two the characteristics, or the two kinds, the analytical meditation and single-pointed meditation. And the text which we are studying today, so this is to trigger, to invoke the analytical meditation. Whereas the meditation which we are doing now, 5 minutes, this is for the single-pointed meditation, dedicated to cultivate the steadiness of the mind. Okay. So for that matter, single-pointed meditation, again we see that there are so many kinds. Say, you go in the Tibetan tradition, you go in the Chinese tradition, you go to the Sri Lankan tradition, Burmese tradition, Thai tradition. All of these traditions, they provide us with the methods of meditation, which is single-pointed meditation. They all render such the meditations. So one of which is the breathing meditation. Within the breathing meditation, we see that there are so many kinds. So what we're going to do here is a very simple one, yet very powerful. Okay, for that matter, this is going to be more like first we have to follow the instructions. It has 4 points to keep in mind. 4 points to keep in mind. First one is body posture. Then number 2 is focal point. What are you going to meditate on? Focal point. Then number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. Number 4 is applying the remedies when the errors do happen. Okay, 4 points to keep in mind. 1, the body posture. They say sitting cross-legged. Sitting cross-legged, if possible, you can sit cross-legged. That would be very good, particularly say when you have to do the meditation for an extended period of time. So there you can maintain a very fresh state of mind for a very long time. So this would be very helpful, and you could see the freshness of the mind coming as you sit cross-legged. One. Number two, which is so important, is the backbone upright. Backbone upright, and the point is that until you have a backache problem, you have the knee problems, it is very much recommended that you sit upright, backbone upright, and if possible, not to lean against a support. Okay, backbone upright. While you keep the backbone upright, the body should be flexible. It should not be rigid. The back should be flexible. And then your head tilted forward a little bit. Head tilted forward a little bit. And the next point, which is so important, is eyes not closed. Eyes not closed. Oftentimes, we do see some teachers, they suggesting or advising people to close their eyes when they do the meditation. So, if you have been doing your meditation with eyes closed for the last more than 2 years, you're exempted. Otherwise, what I suggest is to always go to do the meditation with eyes open. 45, the half open, 45 degrees cast down. So this is something common to most of the traditions. So therefore, try to do with the eyes meditation with eyes open. And of course, say doing meditation with eyes closed is quite dangerous. Quite dangerous. And I'm not going to speak at length on this point. And the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in the mouth. The tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate. Then the teeth and the lips, keep them in their natural course and breathe naturally. Don't impose on your breath, don't control your breath. And your right hand on your left hand, and the tips of the two thumbs joining, forming a triangle, and place the two hands, the two thumbs standing, place the two hands on your laps in restful state. Okay, this is your body posture. This posture also known as the 7-limb Vajrayana posture. 7-limb Vajrayana posture. This is a very blessed posture which will automatically take you to meditation. One. The next one is focal point. What are we going to meditate on? We're going to meditate on a tiny dot, white dot, a tiny white dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter. Visualize between your nose and the upper lip. Visualize between your nose and the upper lip. This is where we're going to focus on this tiny dot. So while you focus mind on the tiny dot, white dot between nose and upper lip, multitasking, count your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2. So this is what we're going to do, count for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. It can be, the number of the counts can be between 60 to 100. In some cases, maybe 110. So it depends on the length of your breath. Okay, this is your focal point. So, with your eyes open is quite challenging. So don't go for the easier ones. With eyes closed, it will be much easier. But if you go for the easier one, you will never improve your meditation. We always go for this, the meditation with eyes open. Okay. The next one is identifying the errors of meditation. When you do meditation, we are bound to face with challenges and errors. And the errors twofold: mental excitement and mental laxity. Mental excitement is when your mind gets scattered, it becomes overactive. Overactive is scattered, distracted here and there. This is one error. And the other error is the opposite of that, mental laxity or mental sinking. Your mind becomes so heavy, lethargic, inserviceable. This is the second error. So both these, any of these two errors can arise in you anytime. Should any of these two errors arise, you must apply the remedies. And the remedies, number 4, remedies is twofold. It's not the mental introspection and mindfulness. Introspection is to keep an eye on your own mind to see if your mind is still meditating or it already distracted. And if you see that your mind is distracted or in the lax state, then you apply the mindfulness. Mindfulness is to bring the mind back to the intended object of meditation. Okay, this is what we're going to do for 5 minutes. Ready? Okay. Okay, we are on the 400 or the middle way by Acharya Aryadeva. We're in chapter 12, page 34. Page 34, chapter 12. Okay. This is a very important chapter. In fact, it is pertaining to how we approach a system. How we approach a system which is meant to help us, which you think would be the guiding force for us to achieve our maximum happiness, the lasting happiness. And the title of the chapter is Refuting Wrong Views. Refuting Wrong Views. This is the title of the chapter. And oftentimes when we follow, oftentimes when we follow the path, we follow that mostly through blind faith. And how do we know that we follow through blind faith? Was that when I was in Singapore, there was somebody, a professor in what's something, economics or something. So a professor wanted to do an interview with me, and anyway, there was the first time I met a Singaporean who was quite very forthright and quite argumentative. The first time I met a Singaporean. Otherwise, the Singaporeans very gentle, very sensitive, considerate, but he is very different. He's very forthright. And then the first thing he asked me is that, "You're a Buddhist?" And I said, "Yes." Then he said that, "My question to you is that imagine if you're not born as a Buddhist, if you're born in another tradition, do you still think that you're going to be Buddhist?" This was his question. And I said that this question is extremely important. This question is extremely important. This is how many of the people are being misled. Simply because they're born in that tradition, they follow the tradition. Not because that they see the rationality, they see the strength and the beauty of that tradition. This is a very pertinent question that he asked. So now we see that this is really, the answer is given here in this chapter, chapter 12. Refuting wrong views. Saying you may be born in a place where the tradition that your family was following may not be the healthy one. And then because you were born there, you follow that tradition, and then we are following wrong views. So how to refute, how to reject, how to get away from the wrong views. This is a question. This is a very pertinent question which asked me. And then because of this chapter 12, it becomes so relevant and so meaningful. Okay, so first of all, the stanza 276. Stanza 276. This is on say what should be the proper vessel for a teaching, which means what should be the proper what should be the qualities of a proper student. Which means that, for example, say I'm born in a Buddhist family. I became a Buddhist. What he said is very true. Become Buddhist. Had it been the case that I was born in another family from different tradition, shall I still become a Buddhist or following that? This is a big question. Big question. So the point is that how finally, it's not a matter of following tradition. The point is that you should be happy. And you should have a lasting happiness. And you should be genuinely happy. And you should be wisely happy. This is the point. Be kind with yourself and be wisely kind with yourself. Finally, this is the point. So any tradition that helps you to be wisely kind with yourself, to give you the maximum happiness, that is the most befitting system for you. It is not that saying this medicine is the best. For you, whatever suits you the most, that is the best thing. Now the point is that how should one be the proper vessel or the proper disciple or the proper follower of a tradition? What qualities are required there? What should be of the most noble, the student? It says the qualities mentioned there. 5 qualities are mentioned there. And unprejudiced, number 1. Unprejudiced, intelligent, interested. Okay, these 3 qualities are mentioned there. An unprejudiced, intelligent, and interested listener is called a vessel to whom the teaching should be given. Unprejudiced, meaning that, say, no biases. So a common example given is the analogy, the metaphor of a container. Say 3 containers. One container is, say, one container is, it has the dirt inside the container. Then number 2, number 2 is, it has, say, the holes in the container. Number 3, the container is upside down, upside down. Okay. If you have these 3 containers, then the container is what? I want to drink a very clean, fresh water. Clean, fresh water. And these are 3 containers. You need to have a container. First container is what? Dirty. It's very dirty. There's a dirt inside there. The number 2 container is that it has a hole there. Number 3 container is that it is upside down. So none of these 3 containers is going to be helpful to you. The first one is dirt there. Although the water that may be put is very clean, but what you get out of this is very dirty water. It's not drinkable. Number 2, you put water in, however much water you put in, it keeps going out. It's hollow. Then number 3, what's the problem? No drop of water actually gets in there. It's put upside down. So these are the 3 defects, 3 errors of a follower, disciple, or a student. Right? Okay. So unprejudiced means if your mind is very prejudiced, that okay, I'm a Buddhist, what the Buddha said is correct, what others say is wrong, right? Say Jesus Christ, he taught the compassion, his compassion is very biased. Then the Mahavir has taught the Ahimsa, this is just very shallow. So if this is the attitude, it's so biased. This is known as prejudice. Prejudice there. So we should be unprejudiced. We should not have this prejudice or the biased attitude. If the biased attitude, your mind is already tainted. With this tainted minded, you will never learn anything pure into good. Everything that gets in will become tainted. So you will finally, with this tainted mind, you will not get the purity. The purity of your mind cannot be awakened. 1. Number 2, intelligent. Intelligent. Okay. Same if it is hollow, then you learn something, you forget. You learn something, you forget. You learn something, you forget. So that is the lack of intelligence. Then number 3 is uninterested. If the vessel is put upside down, you are always interested. Even if you are in, say, the teaching, but you don't learn anything. You don't learn anything because the vessel is put upside down. Right? So these are the three defects of the disciples or the students. Okay. Then number 4, number 5, that's easy. Neither the teachers nor the students' good qualities will be taken as false. Okay. Sometimes say, because you disagree with the teacher, then say what the teacher said and what you think is different, then you just take for granted that what the teacher said is wrong. One. Another would be say, in some cases, what they say, what you may be thinking is correct. What you are thinking may be correct. And simply because it may not fit so well with what the teacher said, you think that what I may be thinking is wrong. So these two things are also the errors. What the other person taught as correct must be seen as correct. What you think is correct must be seen as correct. So these two things are so important, to acknowledge the correctness and the accuracy of the knowledge of others and the knowledge of yourself. So total there are 5. These 5 qualities are so important. And precisely the first three are something which are mostly the quoted and mostly given as the characteristics for somebody to be a good student or a good vessel. This is so important. So with this in mind, then what happens is that simply because you're born in a Buddhist family or a Hindu family or a Christian family or a non-believer family, whatever, it is not that whether you follow tradition or not, that's up to entirely the individual. No force. But if you really want to follow the same, if you really come up with these 2 questions, I should be kind towards myself. What do I mean by kind towards myself? Give yourself what you want. Right? Get rid of things which you don't want. What do you want? I want happiness. Give yourself happiness. This is how you should be kind towards yourself. And get rid of those things which you don't want. What do you don't want? I don't want suffering. Get rid of suffering. Okay, this is the meaning of be kind towards yourself. Number 2, be wisely kind towards yourself. Meaning that what you do, we engage in actions in order to give rise to happiness, in order to dispel the miseries. But the action that you undertake should actually give rise to happiness and should actually get rid of miseries. Not that you engage, for example, saying you are thirsty and you are diabetic, and then there's a Coca-Cola there. Oh, I should be kind towards myself. So Coca-Cola, I want to take it. You drink it, it's a poison for you because you are diabetic. It's a poison for you, right? And likewise for the blood pressure and all these problems. So it's a poison for you. So therefore, in the pretext of being kind with yourself, you are being unwisely kind with yourself. You are not actually doing things to actually give you happiness. So for that matter, you should be wisely kind with yourself. Now, if you really think of these 2 questions seriously, then this stanza 276, becomes so relevant. Okay, so usually people come and they talk about, okay, say Buddhist teachings, why do we have to study all this philosophy, so forth, right? No need to push others to study philosophy. The question is, first ask the question, in the first place, what do you want, right? Say, if somebody is interested in Buddhism, what makes you interested in Buddhism? Are you interested in the study of philosophy? Or are you interested to just have an immediate relief, immediate healing? Or you see you see the Buddhism to be fancy or nice? What for you are embracing Buddhism? This is my question. If the person says that, okay, with Buddhism, then everybody, they turn towards Buddhism, so I also like to have the tag. I'm a Buddhist. Okay, then you just call yourself a Buddhist, there's no problem. You don't have to study philosophy. But somebody says that, No, I don't want suffering, and the suffering, I'm enough with suffering now. It's enough. I don't want suffering anymore. Right? Now I don't want to. I like to look for ways and means from Buddhism how to get rid of my suffering. Then Buddhism makes sense. In which case you have to follow this stanza 276. Right? Otherwise, for other reasons, saying if you don't get a job, and then you look for Buddhism, saying prayers, mantras, then this stanza 276 is not required for you. It's not required. Whereas if you really want to get rid of your suffering altogether, if you really want to get rid of your miseries, stress, tension, depression, so forth, then stanza 276 is so meaningful and relevant. It says that first of all, we should be unprejudiced. We should have no biased attitude towards a system. You should be very unbiased, number one. Number two, you should cultivate your intelligence. There must be some degree of intelligence. Must cultivate some degree of intelligence. And the intelligence, it doesn't mean that if somebody is not as intelligent according to the conventional norms, then you may think, oh, I'm not qualified. No, this is not a matter. Intelligence here is more, say, intelligence pertaining to the say, the acquired knowledge they require. And somebody can be so keen, you may not be as intelligent according to conventional norm, but so keen and very, very punctual, regular. Over time you learn so many things. You already become intelligent, right? You have a lot of intelligence is to acquire the knowledge, acquire the information. So you've already acquired so much information, and even what we call as intelligence, even that can be cultivated. It's not that only if you are born with intelligence since childhood, you are intelligent always. If you're not born as intelligent, you will never become intelligent. This is not the case. Everything is dependent originated. This is a principle of the Praditsamutpad, dependent origination. Everything is dependent originated. The fact that somebody may not be as intelligent, as sharp, is also dependent originated. It's by dependence on not getting exposed to these knowledge before. If you get more exposed to this, then your mind becomes sharper and more active and can synchronize things so well. And then in your next life, you're born, you already have that capacity. And everybody will say that this girl is very sharp, this boy is very sharp. Actually, in your previous life, you were not sharp. You cultivated that in the previous life. Okay, so even this is also a skill that we can cultivate. The point is that everything is dependent originated. Okay, number two. Then number three, interesting. This is so important. This is what I have seen with my own eyes. So many people, right? Saying some people, they are so intelligent by the conventional sense. Yet they attend a teaching lecture, say, on philosophy. And then, say, after the class, when we meet, have discussion, the person otherwise is so intelligent, and in the course of then the person, just to make me happy, will ask some questions meant to be related to the class, and the question was totally unrelated to the class, and clear indication that the person did not understand anything of what was said in the class. Not because the person is not intelligent, because the person did not pay attention, because the interest is not there. When the interest is not there, when the vessel is put upside down, not even a drop will go in. 100%. This is what I've seen with my eyes. With my own experience, I've seen such people. So therefore, in all my classes, say the Bodhicitta retreats, oftentimes they're very technical. And some of the hosts, they will ask me, oh, we know that the Bodhicitta retreat is very intense, so should we make a borderline, say that somebody who has exposure to Buddhist philosophy, and only those people can be allowed to be enrolled, otherwise is this the criteria that we should lay? I should say no. Only criteria that should be laid is that the person should have interest. It's not matter the person is intelligent or not. Even intelligent does not really work here. Right? with so much of sharpness, but if the person is least interested, no, person does not get anything. It's just total waste of the time of the whole group. Even one person not having interest, right, can spoil the whole group. So therefore, my criteria for however sophisticated the topic is, my criteria that I would lay down is that person should have interest. With this interest, even though the intelligence which is mentioned here, even though it may not be as ripened at that moment, I'm not really worried about it. This will come along. Even this can be cultivated. But the interest part, no. Without the interest, it simply spoils the whole environment. Okay, so this is so important. Now stanza 277. He explained existence and its causes, the means to peace and peace itself. What people do not understand is seen as the subduer's fault. Okay, this is so important. With the three qualities mentioned above, and particularly pertaining to stanza 277, the first one is the first quality is so relevant, which is unprejudiced, right? Say if you're born in a place or a family where the Buddha is just a preacher of another religion, if this is how we are born, then we will least be bothered. We'll be least be bothered to explore what the Buddha said, right? Except for, okay, most of you, this is an exceptional group, right? Otherwise, generally speaking, is only because that I'm born into this family, so therefore I follow this tradition. This is the 18, if not 90%, 80% of the people following the traditions is all because of this, right? Okay. So the point is that we should have a sense of discretion, we should have a sense of, say, the sense of common sense, openness, to see what this teacher said, what that teacher said, so that the religion said. He explained existence. Existence here referring to suffering, the reality of our existence. The reality of existence is suffering. And its causes, the truth of the cause of suffering, number 2. The means to peace, which is the number 4. The path to the absolute peace, or the nirvana, or the cessation. And the peace itself, number 3, the truth of the cessation of suffering. The Four Noble Truths. He explained the existence, the truth of suffering, and its causes, the truth of cause of suffering, the means to peace, and the peace referring to the truth of the cessation of suffering. Cessation of suffering, where you experience the total peace which is freed of the disturbance due to the negative emotions. And then the means of peace, which is the Four Noble Truth. What people do not understand is seen as the subduer's form. Say, even though the Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths, because those people, one, they do not understand what the Buddha is teaching, and then many, they think that, oh, he's just another teacher, this is not my religion, this is not my tradition. And then says, okay, there's some problem is there, right? So, okay, say like he does not accept God, he does not accept Atman, so it's very the atheist, right? You just give this label, atheist, and consider it's not at all ready to listen what these four are. The existence of suffering, the cause of the suffering, the means to the peace, and the final peace. What are you seeking? What are you seeking? I seek peace. The peace is what he's teaching, right? So we need to have a sense of openness. If we don't have that, the first one, openness, if we don't have if we are very prejudiced, this is what is, we will only impose the limitation that we have on the Buddha. Is seen as the subduer's fault. Subduer here referring to the Buddha. 278. These strange people all agree that by giving up everything one attains nirvana. For what reasons do they dislike that which puts an end to all? Okay, tell me. Say, particularly those of us who have already been exposed to the teachings of the Buddha for some time, tell me, say, what factor is responsible for creating all our sufferings? What is that factor which is responsible for creating all our sufferings? Finally,
self-grasping
ignorance, self-grasping ignorance. Anyone else? Self-cherishing. Anyone else? So in fact, within the teachings of Buddha, we see the mention, different mentions are there. For example, in some cases, the attachment is considered as the final cause of suffering. Attachment. In some cases, the ignorance. In some cases, the ego. In some cases, the self-grasping ignorance, the ignorance, and self-centered attitude in some connotation, right? So these different versions are taught. So for that matter, what we need to keep in mind is that don't say that this is correct, that is wrong, this is wrong, this is correct, this is wrong. No. What we need to do is that we need to have the basic framework. We need to know the basic, final framework, the blueprint. We need to have the blueprint, how suffering comes into being. Once you have the blueprint, then on that basis, then you see that when the Buddha at one point said that the desire, attachment, desire is the final cause of suffering. When I say this, you will understand in what context the Buddha is saying, Buddha is teaching. And what the Buddha said, ignorance is the final cause of suffering. You will know in what context the Buddha is teaching this. Okay, so for that matter, first we need to have the proper blueprint which is laid out by the Buddha. And not only just what the Buddha laid, we have to see whether it makes sense to us. And we should have a sense of liberty. This is the beauty of the Buddha's teachings. Simply because the Buddha said, Buddha is not happy that you follow him blindly. So what the Buddha said, if you subject this to analysis, and if you gain a conviction that what the Buddha said is this amazing, this is very true. Okay, how many of you know 2 plus 3 equals 5? Okay, how do you know this? Your teacher taught you? Your teacher taught you? Huh?
Initially.
No, now. How do you know this? What makes you think that 2 plus 5 is equal? You know it, or you somebody told you that?
We can experience it.
Huh?
We can experience it.
We can experience it, which means that hush. Yes. Yes, this is a nice way of saying. Yes, said that this we can experience it. Right? It's a nice way of saying that I know it. Right? Okay. Who was that? There was one young boy. There was one, in Assam. Very young boy. I think age 5, Age 5. 4 or 5. I gave him some almonds. Then he ate it and he said, oh, it's delicious, I like it. So I offered him more, right? I like almonds. Then he told me that, you know what? The color of this almond inside is white. He said this. He is age 4. He said the color of this almond inside is white. Then it triggered me this. Okay, now I need to check, right? Check whether this is his own knowledge or is borrowed, and of course he'll be very proud to say it's his knowledge. So I asked him, how do you know that there's white inside. I said, yes, there's white inside. Then I ate it, and wow, it's white. How do you know? It's amazing. I said, wow. His name is Itan. Itan, how do you know there's white inside? Now I come to know this white really is white. Amazing. How do you know that? Without eating it, you already know there's white inside. Who taught you this? He said that, no, I know it myself. Right? Okay, though, this is the point. Say that one knowledge is knowledge coming out of your own experience. What Yash said, your own experience, your own knowledge. It's not a borrowed knowledge. It's not a borrowed knowledge. Okay. So one is a borrowed knowledge. For example, E equals mc square. E equals mc square. This is a borrowed knowledge. I have no clue how E equals mc square. I have no knowledge. So this is only what I learned from when I was in class 11, like 30 years ago. I learned it from the school, and still I don't know how E equals mc square. I don't know that. Right? E is the energy. I know that. M is mass. C is the speed of the light. And square is square. Right? But how this equation comes into being, how this equation is true, I have no clue. I did not do the derivative, right? I didn't do the derivation of this equation. But I know that this equation said by Albert Einstein, but I don't know how it is true. So the Buddha would be so happy only if you subject what he taught into analysis. And you get conviction. Like this boy said, yes, I know it. Nobody taught that. I know this, right? If your knowledge becomes like that, that is known as the initial inferential knowledge. Your own knowledge which gives you the conviction that yes, I know this. Is not just a borrowed. Okay, that is so important. Now the Four Noble Truths, which the Buddha taught here. Four Noble Truths. These four truths. What we want is, we want peace. And the Buddha said, how to acquire this peace. The Buddha taught it. Now, not only what the Buddha taught it, you have to subject this to analysis and make it your knowledge. And Buddha, if you say that, okay, how should I get rid of samsara? How should I get out of my suffering? Practice. You have to study, practice the Four Noble Truths. Okay, how can I know the Four Noble Truths are correct? The Buddha said it. If you say like this, and if the Buddha is sitting next to you, Buddha would be very sad. Whereas, if you say, yes, I know this. Yes, first I learned from the Buddha, and then I subjected to this analysis, and then now I know this is very true. Buddha would be very happy. If you say, it is my knowledge, it's not the Buddha's knowledge. If you say this, the Buddha would be very happy. On the contrary, if you say that this is Buddha's knowledge, and I don't have the knowledge, I just learned from Buddha. If this is what you say, Buddha would be very sad. Right? This is the beauty of the Buddha's teachings. Whereas many of the other traditions, you have to just follow what I say. Right? You follow me, and you will see the light. Not that you are not entitled to analyze. The moment you analyze this, you don't have faith in me. Faith is people will go into hell. Whether you analyze, whether you see what I said is correct or not, you have no faith. With no faith, you will go down to hell. Right? Whereas the Buddha's teaching, this is something so unique of the Buddha's teaching, that faith is important, but the faith must be grounded on the wisdom. Faith grounded on wisdom, that is important. Not just the faith without the wisdom ground. Faith without the wisdom ground, this is blind faith. But the blind faith can be very dangerous. With the blind faith, where you're born, you will follow this tradition 100%. Right? Then you will not see the defect. You will not be keen to look for the 2 points. I should be kind towards myself, and I should be wisely kind towards myself. You will sacrifice these 2 points. Finally, even the fact that even we follow blind faith is also because you meant to make yourself happy. But in actuality, this only can create disaster. Okay. Now 278 is okay, this book requires, what I would say is that this book is a very, say, extremely profound and very important book. It requires the readers to have already some exposure to emptiness, right? Emptiness concept. Okay. Okay, those of us who are not exposed to emptiness concept, don't worry. I'll try to explain this, right? This, we'll get something, and later on, this may in fact invoke us to study the emptiness more rigorously in as soon as possible. Okay. Saying what the Buddha taught is that the final ignorance is responsible for all our miseries. To get rid of ignorance, we need to know the reality. We need to have the wisdom. What is the wisdom? Wisdom is the mind which discerns whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality. What is the next question? What is the reality? This question. Okay. So the reality, the Buddha taught that everything in reality, how we perceive things is our distortion. How we perceive things and the reality, there's a stark contrast between how we see things and how things actually exist. So the best example, the helpful example is the dream. And by the way, how many of you have never had any experience of dream? In other words, how many of you have never had any dream in your life? No one. But I did come across some people who said that I never had a dream in my life. Yeah, I did come across one or two persons. So here everybody had dream readers, and so those who did have a dream in your life, one time or the other, 10 times, 20 times, it doesn't matter, one time is good enough. Okay, so those who do not raise your hands, what is that? Had dream, no dream? All had dream, right? Okay, now imagine, this is so important. Okay, particularly what I may say is that those people who have some exposure to emptiness, right? Okay, when we actually meditate on emptiness, then slowly the clarity, in the class you think that, oh, I know this. When you actually start meditating, clarity disappears. And what do you think that, yes, I know all these steps, but now nothing really comes to my mind, right? No emptiness is coming. Okay, so if one has that experience, then when somebody's talking about emptiness, right, your attention is going to be 100% efficient. Otherwise, if we don't have this experience, meditate on emptiness, then clarity disappears, and then you feel so disheartened, you feel so demoralized. Oh, now the only hope of my liberation is gone, it's not coming to me. If you don't have that experience, then they say, oh, I heard this, I heard that, I heard this, heard that. Okay, this is what is bound to happen. So particularly those who have already heard this, pay more attention to this. And those of you are listening for the first time, I would say that still you can also listen to this. This will be helpful. Okay, say, oh, we are dreaming, and in the dream, say you are having a nightmare, being chased by a ghost. You are having a nightmare. Or say having a nightmare of losing your very affectionate, the person, losing them. In fact, I also had the nightmare sometimes. One time of losing my father before he actually passed away. They're quite intense, quite tense on the dream. Yeah. Then, so there I was emotionally so disturbed to see that my father was dying. It was actually way before my father actually died. Okay, let's say that such a dream is happening to us. Okay, so when you're dreaming, your mind is mentally disturbed, very much disturbed. Then when you wake up, oh, my father is still alive. What's your feeling? Relief, so much of relief. Okay, good. Tell me, in the dream, what are you dreaming? You had a tremendous feeling of sadness, tremendous feeling of loss. Okay, so this feeling does not continue when you wake up. This feeling terminated. The feeling stopped when you wake up. Why the feeling of loss stopped when you wake up? Why? It was replaced by a feeling of relief when you wake up. Why?
You know it was just coming from your mind. It wasn't real.
Okay, Teja has been replying to this service many times. Right? Okay, so because you know that in the dream, you see the dream as real. You see the dream as, say, the dream loss of your father as a real loss of your father. You agree with me or not? In the dream, you see the dream loss of father. Loss of father, it was just a dream. Dream loss of father as a real loss of father. Whereas when you wake up, the fear dissolves. Anxiety dissolves. Because you see that the dream loss of the father was a dream loss of father. It was not the real loss of father. You discover the reality. In the dream, you were being sucked up by the ignorance. You are in the grip of the ignorance. When you wake up, ignorance is released. Ignorance disappeared. And the wisdom, opposite of ignorance, the wisdom dawned. The wisdom came in you. So with the wisdom, the fear dissolved. With the ignorance, it attracted the fear. You're getting it? This is reality. Now with this, our question is to dispel the ignorance. We need to introduce the light of the wisdom. The question is, what is the wisdom? We said that is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the next question? What's the reality? So the reality, as we discover, reality is as what we discovered when you wake up, as opposed to what we see in the dream. We see in the dream as the loss of your father, which was actually a dream, as a real. When you wake up, you see that it was not real. It was empty of being real. Okay, now with this, what we need to keep in mind, particularly for those of us who are new in this concept, say, what is the difference between the dream flower? What is the difference between the dream flower and this flower? Okay, anyone, just say, anyone who likes to give me an answer? Yes, doctor? Okay, so this flower is a real, substantial, tangible there. And the dream flower is imagination. It's coming from your mind. So this is the difference. From this, what we need to know is, this is a very important answer. What we need to know is, okay, this is so important, it is simple, at the same time difficult. Right? It is simple as well as difficult. If you pay attention, it's very simple. If you don't pay attention, it's very difficult. Right? Okay, let's say I show you my hand. It's very boring hand. Right? Then instead of hand, then I show you this flower. Wow, it's so nice. Then it enlightens you. It uplifts your spirit. Okay, so tell me, Then what made your mind so elated? What made your mind glow with joy? Because of seeing the flower. So the flower is your object and your mind is the subject. You see the object, the flower is the object, and then your mind, the subject, your mind gets elated with joy. You're getting it? So there's interplay of the object and the subject. You're getting it? Interplay of the object and subject. Okay. Now in the dream also, you see the ghost, and what's your feeling? Feeling of fear. Right? So what is the object there in the case of the dream? Dream ghost, what is the object? The dream ghost is the object, and what is the subject? Your mind which felt the fear. The mind which felt the fear is the subject. In this case, the flower is the object, and your mind is the mind which felt the joy is the subject. So object and subject, object and subject. You getting it? Okay. Now, the next point is, let's say, how many of us watched a movie in the movie theater? Right? Okay. Those who come to Tibet regularly, right? They have to raise their hands always. They know that this question. Okay, so now let's say that you are watching a movie. You're watching a movie on the screen here, right? And tell me, where is this movie coming from? From the screen or from the movie projector? Where's the projector? Behind you, right? Okay, the movie is where? The movie is on the screen. Movie is coming from where? Hey, movie is coming from where? From the projector, and the projector is behind you. You're getting it? This is so important. The screen is like the object, the flower is the object, your mind is the subject. Now in the movie is the object, screen is the object, and the movie projector is the subject. Object, subject. You're getting it? Okay. When you look at this flower, how does it appear to you? Does it appear as though like your mind is the movie projector and it is creating this flower? Tick, 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 tick. Oh no, it's nothing to do with my mind. It's there and coming to my mind. How does it appear to you? It seems so objective, it has nothing to do with mind. This is known as the flower coming from the object, objective existence. Okay, now the movie is coming from the screen or from the projector? Okay, those coming to Tibet House freshly, you have no experience. You're all the good ones. Never been to movie theaters? Okay, tell me, the movie is coming from where? From the projector or from the screen? Coming from the projector. And projector is analogous to the subject or object? Subject. Very good. The projector is analogous to the subject. So the movie is coming from the subject or from the object? From the subject. This is so important. Movie is coming from the subject. Okay. Likewise, the Buddha said, and then the dream. Dream is coming from the object or from the subject? Okay. Yes. How the movie is coming? Not the movie. The dream is coming from the subject. How? How? It's not real. What subject? What's the subject? Mind. So the dream is coming from your mind, and the mind is the subject. You're getting it? Okay. This is so important. These discussions, subject, object, the dream coming from the subject, this analysis will leave such a profound imprint in your mind that later on, when you actually meditate on emptiness, clarity will come to your mind. You're getting it? This is so precious. This is so precious. The movie example, coming from the movie projector, but you are not watching the movie at the projector. We are watching the movie on the screen. Yet it is not coming from the screen, it is coming from the movie projector. This is so important analogy. You're getting it? Okay. So with this, with the movie is coming from the object or subject? Subject. The dream is coming from the object or subject? Subject. Okay. Likewise, the Buddha said that everything, not only the movie and the dream, everything comes from the subject. You're getting it? Everything comes from the subject. Although we see, when you look at this flower, it's okay. Just speak your mind. Don't just believe in what I'm saying. Just speak your mind. Speak your mind. The flower, how does it appear to you? It appears as subjectively real or as objectively real? How does it appear? Objectively real. This, the Buddha said, is like a small child watching a movie. Right? How many of you watched a movie in a movie theater, ghost movie, when you were age 5, 6, 7? How many watched that movie? Okay, and what was what was that like? You try to hide yourself sometimes. Why did you hide yourself? Because of fear. Okay, and actually this, even if there's a ghost there, but the ghost is not from the screen, it's coming from the projector, right? Why did you not hide from the projector? Why did you hide from the screen? Why? Because you thought that it is coming from the screen. Screen is analogous for object or subject? Object. Small children, they see the movie is coming from the screen, coming from the object. This is mistaken, or this is the accurate, or this is inaccurate? This is inaccurate. Seeing the movie is coming from the object. The movie is objectively real. This is inaccurate. This is error. In reality, when you grow older, even if you see a very scary movie there, we will not hide ourselves, right? Knowing that it's not really from the screen, it's from the movie projector. You know that. Okay. Now the point is that, say, young child and you as elder, both of you watch the movie, the same movie. But the young child thinks that the movie is coming from the object. The movie exists objectively. And you as elder now, you know that the movie exists subjectively from the projector. You getting it? Okay. Now when you look at this flower, how does this flower appear? As objectively or as subjectively? Okay. From the point of view of the ultimate reality, we are all like small children. You see this objectively real. You see this objectively real or subjectively real? If you see this objectively real, you are already a very mature spiritual being, right? If you see this objectively real, we are still very young child. You're getting it? This is the ignorance. This is ignorance. So, the flower actually exists how? Subjectively or objectively? In reality, it exists subjectively, but we mistakenly see this as objectively real. So look, the movie, how busy the movie projector remains. How busy, how long the movie projector remains busy? Huh? Continuous.
As long as
3 hours. Indian movies 3 hours, and Hollywood movies 1:30. Okay, so 1:30 movie, 1:30 hour, 1.1 hour 30 minutes or 3 hours, the movie projector is busy. And our movie projector is busy for how long? 24/7. Since time immemorial till now, the movie projector, our mind is busy creating. Right? And we create this, and we are unaware that we are creating this. We are unaware. Unaware is ignorance. So we are being actually blinded by ignorance since time immemorial till now, and go down till we reach gate gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhiswaha. Till immediately before bodhiswaha, we are going to be sucked up by this. The ignorance and the stains of the ignorance. You're getting it? Always seeing things as objectively real. Okay, so this is reality. In other words, what we have learned is what? What is reality? Reality is that everything is empty of Objective existence. Okay, tell me, be more forceful. What's the reality? That everything is empty of objective existence. If everything is empty of objective existence, how do things exist then? Do things don't exist? Things are non-existent? No, things do exist. Okay, two questions. Do things exist? Answer is yes. If you say no, you fall into nihilism. Right? This is not a good philosophy. You fall into, if you say nothing exists, you fall into nihilism. Second question. Only if you say yes, do things exist? Answer is yes. Then you are not into nihilism. Then the second question arises, how do things exist? Objectively or subjectively? Then you say things exist subjectively. You're getting it? Okay, my question. Do things exist?
Yes.
Everything exists? Yes, this is the first question. Second question. How do things exist objectively, subjectively? What is the answer? Subjectively. When you say subjectively, then the next question is, what is the truth? What is the ultimate truth? So for ultimate truth, we relate to the second question. What is the second question? How do things exist subjectively, objectively? What is the answer? Subjectively. So with this, you modify it a little bit and you get the ultimate truth. Right? Why we are doing this exercise is in relation to what the Buddha said. Buddha said that all our problems, miseries are because of the ignorance. If you don't want the miseries, you have to cut the ignorance. If you want to cut the ignorance, what should we do? We should introduce the light of the wisdom. What is the next question? What is wisdom? What is the answer? Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the next question? Was the reality. You are getting it? So related to this, then all this exercise is being done. What's the reality? Say, tell me, which is reality? The dream. In the dream, the dream goes to be real ghost is reality, or dream goes to be empty of real ghost is reality? Which is reality? Dream ghost, on the one hand, I say dream ghost is a real ghost. On the other hand, I say dream ghost is empty of being real ghost. Which of the two is reality? The dream ghost as empty of real ghost. This is the reality. Likewise, the movie coming from the screen is reality. Movie empty of coming from the screen is reality. Which of the two is reality? Movie empty of coming from the screen, not coming from the screen. This is reality. If it's not coming from the screen, where is it coming from? It's coming from the projector. You are getting it? Okay. Now in Buddhism, you see the mention of this subject anatta, anatman, anatta. This is a very important concept, right? Anatta in English, what is that? Anatman, anatta. What is that in English? Selflessness, selflessness. And many people, including professors, including renowned professors, not just professors, renowned professors. They say in Buddhism nothing exists. Buddhism nothing exists. In Buddhism nothing exists. How come that you are saying that in Buddhism nothing exists? Because Buddha taught selflessness, anatta. Self does not exist. Okay. Do you agree with him or not? No. Why not? Because Buddhism accepts everything to be existent. Don't forget the two questions. Do things exist? What is the Buddhist answer? Yes. Don't say things don't exist. If you say no to the first question, things don't exist, what's the problem? You fall into nihilism. Buddhism is not nihilist. Right? Many people think that Buddhism is nihilist, and particularly professors who see themselves as, who put themselves as a very knowledgeable Buddhist scholar. Right? In fact, just recently somebody sent me a clip of a professor from Sri Lanka, Professor Nand something, and he was giving a concept, teaching, and I watched it. I was so happy. I thought that initially I was a little skeptic. Again, he might say that in Buddhism, no self, anatta. No. he was giving such a brilliant exposition, very good explanation about anatta. So good. So good. I'm so impressed. Not at all into nihilism. When the professors give teachings on the lectures about anatta, I'm a little scared. Right? They may say that, oh, anatta, in Buddhism, no self, nothing exists. This is very, very misleading. Very misleading. Don't forget the two things. Okay, Buddhism. What really is the Buddhist philosophy? Right? Two questions. Do things exist? What's the answer? Yes. If you say no, then what happens? You fall into nihilism. This is not Buddhism. Don't forget it. This is not Buddhism. Then what about anatta? No self. Anatta. Ashok. Isn't the negation? Anatta. This is a self. No self. So Buddha taught no self. So how are you saying that self exists? What is the answer?
Subjective.
Self, when the Buddha said anatta, Buddha is saying no self as objectively existent. No self existing objectively. If the self does not exist objectively, then how does the self exist? Subjectively. You are getting it? Self does exist, but it does not exist objectively. It exists subjectively. You're getting it? Okay, let me say this again. Do things exist?
Yes.
Self exists?
Yes.
How can the self exist? Buddha taught selflessness.
It's subjective.
The Buddha said the selflessness in the context of the objective self. Objective self does not exist. And self does exist? How does it exist? It exists subjectively. You're getting it? This is so important. This is so important. Okay. Now, if the self exists subjectively, likewise the flower also exists subjectively. Everything exists subjectively. Okay, the flower, does it exist?
Yes.
Yes. First question, answer is yes. Only if the first, you give the answer yes to the first question, then we can proceed to the second question. What's the second question? How does the flower exist, objectively or subjectively? What's the answer? It exists subjectively. Okay, this is so important now. It exists subjectively. Now what is the question? What is the ultimate truth? With that, how did we define wisdom? How did we define wisdom? Define is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What is the next question? What's the reality, right? So this is what we're exploring. What's the reality? What's the ultimate truth? What's the ultimate reality? This is what we're exploring. Okay, don't forget this question. What's the question that we're exploring? What is the ultimate reality? What is the reality? Why are you interested to know reality? To know what the wisdom is. Why are you interested to know the wisdom? To get rid of ignorance. Why are you interested in getting rid of ignorance? To get rid of to get rid of miseries, right? Okay, how by getting rid of ignorance helps to get rid of ignorance, the miseries? Because ignorance is at the root of all the miseries. You're getting it? If you know this link, this is beautiful. You'll be so proud to say that I've learned the teaching of the Buddha. Right? This is so beautiful. Okay, with this very important point. Okay, the two questions. What's the second question?
What is reality?
What is the second question? How does this flower exist subjectively, objectively? Okay, what is the second question? How does this flower exist subjectively, objectively? So my answer is that it exists subjectively. Now we are trying to capture what the ultimate reality is. When you say that it exists subjectively, so when you say that okay, this rosary, right? Deepeshta puts this rosary on the table. So I say that, what did I say? I picked it up and said that this rosary is mine. Right? Okay, what does it mean? What does it mean? Okay, do you know this meaning? Do you understand what I'm saying? I said that, oh, Deepisha, this rosary is mine. What's the meaning? Anyone? Yes, Namsara? Huh? Okay, Namsara, you're right. Okay, it indicates my attachment to the. Okay, Namsara's version, the attachment is good to attachment, meaning that I like it, right? Okay, this is my rosary, right? Very good. Anyone else? What's the meaning of this? Okay, not those people who are addicted to this teaching. Huh? Okay, anyone? What's the meaning of this? When I say this rosary is mine, you know the meaning, right? I said that, huh? Huh? Okay, yes. Okay, what Janish just said correct. So when I say that, oh, this is mine, it is another way of saying it is not yours. Not yours. Not is the negation. Not yours, empty of being yours. Empty, not, these two mean the same. Likewise, when I say that this flower exists, subjectively, objectively, what's your answer? Subjectively. When you say that this exists subjectively, what's the implication? What does it mean? That it is not objectively existent. You're getting it? It is not objectively existent. You're getting it? Right? It is not objectively existent. Okay. Not and empty mean the same. Not and empty mean the same. So when you say it is subjectively existent, you implicitly are saying that it is empty of objective existence. So empty of objective existence. Say the self, I, Dorji. Dorji exists or not exists? Yes, Dorji exists. Dorji exists objectively or subjectively? Subjectively. So implicitly what I'm saying that Dorji is empty of objective Dorji, objective self. Right? Anatta, no self, means no objective self. Self does exist, but no objective self exists. You're getting it? Dorji exists, but the Dorji does not exist objectively. Dorji is empty of objective existence. You're getting it? So, empty of objective existence is the ultimate truth. What is the ultimate truth of Dorji? Empty of objective existence. Emptiness of objective existence of Dorji. Emptiness of objective existence of Dorji is the ultimate truth of Dorji. What is the ultimate truth of the flower? Emptiness of objective existence of the flower is the ultimate truth of the flower. Okay, what is the ultimate truth of Tibet house? What is the ultimate truth of Tibet house? Emptiness of objective existence of Tibet house is the ultimate truth of Tibet house. What is the ultimate truth of the prayer flags? Emptiness of objective existence of the prayer flags is the ultimate truth of the prayer flags. You're getting it? Okay. Now if you say that I need to have the wisdom, what should you have? You should have the discerning mind to know the reality. What's the reality? Emptiness of objective existence. Okay. So any mind, any discerning mind who knows the emptiness of objective existence, that is the wisdom, ultimate wisdom. So that wisdom will help us to get rid of the ignorance. By eradicating ignorance, all your miseries will come to an end. Because all ignorance, all miseries somehow are rooted to ignorance. All the miseries in the dream, do you agree with me or not? All miseries in the dream are because of the ignorance, seeing the dream as real. You agree with me or not? All the miseries in the dream, all the miseries that how many of you had miseries in the dream? Nightmares in the dream? Okay, all the miseries and the nightmares in the dream are because of believing the dream as real. You agree with me or not? Believing the dream as real, is that ignorance or wisdom? Ignorance. So just as all the miseries in the dream is rooted to the ignorance, seeing the dream as real, all our miseries in the waking state, they are because of the ignorance, believing subjectively existent things as objectively existent things. This is ignorance. You getting it? So when you cut this ignorance, all our miseries will come to an end. Okay. So now from this, what have we learned? What is the ultimate truth? that we should know to get into the ignorance? What is ultimate truth?
Everything is empty of objectivity.
Emptiness of objective existence. Emptiness of objective existence of things. Very good. Okay. So from this, emptiness of objective existence is applicable to one phenomena or two phenomena or all phenomena?
All phenomena.
All phenomena. Okay. Now, say non-Buddhist traditions. At the time of the Buddha was the only teacher who taught the anatta, who taught anatman, who taught the emptiness of objective existence. And all others were teaching that everything exists objectively. This was what all other teachers were teaching at the time of the Buddha. And Buddha was the only teacher who said that nothing exists objectively. You're getting it? So when the Buddha said that nothing exists objectively, all others, many of them, they become so scared that Buddha is saying that nothing exists. Actually, Buddha did not say nothing exists. Buddha said nothing exists objectively. But they think that Buddha is saying nothing exists, nothing exists. For them, nothing exists objectively. These two are seen as synonymous. Okay, so now stanza 278. 278 is pointing to the contradiction of the other philosophers and other practitioners. On the one hand, when the Buddha said nothing exists objectively, they feel a good repulsion. They disagree, right? And they don't feel happy. They dislike this teaching. On the other hand, what they do, 278, these strange people, why strange people? People who are trapped in the contradiction, right? When I say that, if I say that, okay, nobody can listen to what I'm saying. Nobody can listen. Nobody is entitled to listen to me. But pay attention what I'm saying. Is this contradiction or not? Pay attention to what I'm saying. Nobody is to listen to me. Is there contradiction? No contradiction. There's a contradiction. So, such people who speak like this, they are known as strange people. Right? Okay. So it says, those strange people who are trapped in internal contradiction, these strange people all agree that by giving up everything, one attains nirvana. Means that you give up everything, and then you achieve nirvana, which means that have no attachment to anything, have no desire for anything, give up everything, and then you will be freed. You'll be freed and you'll achieve nirvana. On the one hand, they are encouraging people to give up everything, right? Have no fear in giving up everything. On the other hand, when the Buddha said nothing exists objectively, right? Which is actually worse. That's saying, Buddha said philosophically nothing exists objectively, which means that there's nothing really there from the object side. And on the other, you think that things exist objectively, still you have to give up, which is worse. You think that there's objectively something there, still you give up, right? But the Buddha is telling the truth. Buddha is telling what he discovered. He's not saying that give up everything, right? Okay. So on the one hand, some traditions, they teach people to give up everything. And on the other hand, when the Buddha said that nothing really exists objectively there. Objectively there, right? Don't feel attached to things because there's nothing really there. They are very unhappy to listen to this, right? So this is a contradiction. Giving up everything, one attains nirvana. They say, give up everything, this is very good, you'll achieve nirvana. And on the other hand, they say that it's not good. I dislike this when you say that nothing exists objectively. These two are contradiction, right? Okay. For what reason do they dislike that which puts an end to all? Okay. Finally, what they want to do? They want to detach themselves from all phenomena, right? So that they expect to achieve nirvana. And what actually helps us to detach oneself from all others is, okay, say this is extremely important. This is extremely important. Let's say that giving up everything one attains nirvana. Say you believe in this philosophy, that by giving up everything, give up good food, give up good cars, give up good house, you say give up everything, and then you achieve nirvana. Yes, people do that. Many people, they go to Himalaya, they give up everything, whatever they have, they give up everything, they go to Himalayas like this. Okay, the next question. This is so important. We must acquire the skill to ask questions, to ask the very precise questions. This is so important. So with this, finally what takes us towards liberation, towards nirvana, is by this light, the bright, steady, bright light. And this brightness will be given to you by the analytical wisdom, this brightness. And the steadiness will be given by the samadhi practice. Two things combined together, you will have a very bright and steady light. This bright and steady light will dispel all the darkness. Right? Dispelling the darkness, your miseries will come to an end. Okay. Now the question is, if you believe that by giving up everything, for example, say, okay, say in summer it's so hot, right? It's so hot, and I can't bear it. Why you can't bear it? Because my body cannot bear it. Give up the body, right? Give up the body. Then your problem will come to an end. Then you don't worry about the heat. In winter it's so cold. Again, why you are feeling cold? Because my body cannot bear it. Give up the body, right? And then say when I don't have food for say at least 2 food a day, then I feel so hungry. I was there if they were hungry. Then I can't bear it. This is so painful. So this hunger is because what? My stomach hunger. Give up your stomach. Give up your body. Give up your stomach. Right? Okay, like this. Then give up the wow, this is amazing. If I don't have the stomach, if I don't have the body, then I will not feel hot, cold, hunger. Then the pollution is because of the asthma problem, right? So if I don't have the body, if I give my body, then I can stay in Delhi very comfortably, right? No heat problem, no cold problem, no pollution problem, no traffic problem. Because the traffic is because why? Why traffic problem? Because I have to carry this body from one place to another place, carry the body, and I cannot go, and it's quite a distance. So therefore, I have to get in a car. If there's no body, then I don't have to use a car. I don't have to travel, right? My mind can travel. There is no traffic jam problem for the mind. So it's the body. If I give the body, oh wow, what a freedom! It's amazing. It's a great freedom, right? Okay, good point. The next question. How can you give up your body, right? In other words, give up traffic, right? Give up traffic, and then you have the traffic problems gone, right? But how do you give up the traffic? How, right? Okay, when this question is asked, say, people think about the concept of liberation. But how to achieve liberation? That part is missing. You're getting it? People talk about liberation. Be freed from all entanglements. This is liberation. But how to free? That part is missing in the different traditions. This is what the Buddha taught so beautifully. Right? Buddha said, we can listen. Buddha said, everything is like a dream. Everything is like a dream. You don't have to invent it, discover it. Discover it. And if you discover that everything is like a dream, just as in the dream, right? Say you may dream of going into a garden, beautiful garden, and you feel so attached to the beautiful garden. And somebody says, have no attachment to the garden, have no attachment to the flowers, right? And then, say, after coming back from the garden, then you see a snake, You feel so repulsion towards the snake. I dislike the snake. I want to go back to the garden. I don't want to eat the snake. Okay. So this is attachment to the garden and aversion to the snake. Right? Okay. So this problem. So, no, give up. Give up your idea of the garden. Give up this idea of the snake. How can you give up the idea of the snake? How can you give up the idea of the garden? What's the best way? Hey, what's the best way? You're dreaming. Hey, you're dreaming of being in a very beautiful garden. You feel so attached to it. And the person said, if you attach to the garden, you'll never be liberated. Right? Cut all the attachment. And then you come out of the garden, you see a snake. You feel so averse to the snake. Oh, I'm so averse to the snake. If you have aversion to any object, you will never be liberated. Right? So, oh, I want to be liberated from the snake. I want to liberate from the garden, attachment to the garden, liberate from the aversion to the snake. How can that be done? How can you be liberated from the attachment to the garden and aversion to the snake? How? Huh? No idea. Wake up. Just wake up, right? Just wake up. Just wake up. By waking up, you are liberated. You are really liberated from the garden and also from the attachment to the garden and attachment to the dream, aversion to the dream state. So how this liberation happens? By knowing that all what happened in the dream was coming from my mind, not coming from object. So that gives you a freedom. Yes, this is a real freedom from the attachment to the dream garden and aversion to the dream snake. This is a real freedom. So this the Buddha said that just as in the dream, you wake up and you'll be freed from all the nightmares of the dream. Likewise, you wake up from the sleep of the ignorance, you'll be freed from all the nightmares of samsara. This is amazing. And what's the truth? That everything is subjectively real. Nothing is objectively real. Everything is empty of objective reality. This is how we wake up from the sleep of the samsara. Right? And how do we know that everything is empty of objective existence? Should I believe in it? No, you have to discover it. How to discover it? Through rational reasoning. Through rational reason, not through belief. This is so beautiful, so systematic, so sensible, and amazingly rational, right? It's so precious, so precious. Okay. Yes.
If one does develop a mind which realizes the emptiness of objective existence, does one stop having emotional responses to situations?
Okay, this is a good question. Say, when you see the emptiness of objective existence, then just as you pull back, you say your emotion of attachment, aversion stops. Any emotion of compassion also stops. This question. This is a very serious question. So for that, we need to be introduced to the emptiness in a complete form. Emptiness on the one side. Other side of emptiness is dependent origination, right? Emptiness is what? Emptiness of independent existence. Emptiness of independent existence means or everything exists dependently, dependent origination. So emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. Emptiness means dependent origination. Now seeing these two sides, emptiness, it helps to cut all the negative emotions such as attachment, anger, jealousy, craving, fear, anxiety, stress, depression, all will be cut by seeing the emptiness. By seeing dependent origination on the other side, all the virtuous emotions, positive emotions will be strengthened. Compassion, empathy, sense of concern, respect, faith, all the good qualities will be strengthened by seeing dependent origination. So these two should be seen as the two sides of the same coin. You're getting it? Okay, we'll stop here with a quick dedication prayer. Okay, page 278. page 278. 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful, generously Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samanabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain to the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into their enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of the teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect will, the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I gem the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the beings of the snowland. You are the lotus soul that tends in Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who help our merits through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the path of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities and stages of the paths. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Okay, see you next Friday and Sunday.